Yeah, it's your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to an overview video of the new Ethereum versus USD Algo for Bitmex that I just rolled out today, and that today is January 16, 2019. So we're going to get right into it. I'm very excited about this algo. The main reason is because it is the most profitable algo I've created for cryptocurrencies thus far. Now, it does not trade as often or as frequently as the Bitcoin algo. So if I pull the Bitcoin one up, you will see here, I'm going to pull up just the overview. You'll see in 1 year, well, at least going back to January 1st of 2018 up until today, January 16th of 2019, this algo has traded 209 times. Okay, now still a great profit factor, 2.423, which is very good there. But in comparison, I'm going to just show you really quickly that Ethereum versus USD algo has only traded 80 times in the same period, January 1st, 2018 until present, January 16th, 2019. But you will see the profit factor is above 5, which is just insane. That is insane. So we're going to go through this in detail here. One thing I want to highlight right away is that it does have some periods where it will get a little sputtering or a chain of losses as it tries to figure out what's going on. So that's normal. But I filtered out a lot of them before this thing was really bugging out. So it would like try to go short or try to go long, like right here, before the actual trend changed for us. So you'll see a whole bunch of long, and then we'll get tapped out, long, tap out, long, tap out, and then they'll finally get it right and go long here. Now, though that version of the algo worked perfectly fine as far as performance, it still performed very well. But I just know, you know, for a publicly utilized algo, I have to really keep in consideration how the algorithm behaves, not just performance. I can't just look at performance. So even though it's trading for us, you know, it's still an emotional thing for many of us. Some of us are new to trading, right? So, you know, you just have to, and that's the hard thing about building algos for the public. It still has to be done in a way where behaviorally or characteristically, the algo has to kind of behave in a way that doesn't get people all up in a bunch when we see losing streaks. So at some point, maybe I'll go back and try to fix that with the Bitcoin algo. But as of right now, we're going to run these concurrently. Bitcoin versus USD and the Ethereum versus USD algos are live now as the date of this video. Actually went live a few hours ago. So I just wanted to give you guys some examples of you know, where we've had a couple hiccups here, but for the most part, very smoothly trading algo. This one here, it didn't even tap out. It's just, it tried to go long and it kind of caught the sell signal as it was going long a couple of times. So here to here, small profit, here to here, a small loss, and then it finally caught the right wave there, and it, you know, it caught the whole trend upwards there. I just want to give you guys the heads up on those. We may get a few times, a few periods where the longs or shorts will kind of sputter a little bit, but way less than what they were doing before. So I'm glad to see that I was able to weed out a lot of that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the particulars of this algorithm. The first thing here is that this algorithm, from a fixed loss perspective, we've got a fixed loss on the long side of 2.5%. So that's the most we'll risk on spot, meaning if Ethereum moves against us 2.5%, you know, at the point of entry in the long, we'll get tapped out. So that's the most we'll lose from a percentage perspective, and I'm talking relative to the price of Ethereum, not the actual percentage of your capital in, invested versus what your principal is on that particular trade. Those are two different things. This is just the stop loss distance from entry, and to tap us out is 2.5%. And so conversely, on the short side, stop loss is 1.6% away from where we entered the position. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys those details as far as our stop loss areas, and you'll always be able to see where the stop loss is. For example, if we're in a long position, I have the script essentially draw or a dotted line the length of the trade. And so as you can see here, we went long and it was a nice spike down that tapped us out here. So you see that, you'll see a pink dot there that indicates that that was a trade that stopped us off. Same here, went long, significantly longer than the prior long trade there, and then we got tapped out again. And so again, these green lines for long positions. So if you're looking at a chart, currently, and you see the green line under the current chart or current bar, you know that we're still in a long trade. And when that trade closes, you will see that bar stop, those dots stop at the bottom. Same thing with the shorts. We entered here, market fell very hard, and we exited here, and you can see the blue dot that indicates that, but you can always see where the trade stopped by looking at the stop loss line where that ends. Same here, went short there and caught all of this all the way down here. So the way this this algo is performing, just visually, I'm really loving the entry and exit positions for both the long trades and the short trades. So it's looking very good. I'm very excited. Again, it doesn't trade as often, 80 trades in just a whole year. So it's not going to trade as often, but when it does trade, and we'll get into the details of that, when it does trade, the probability of it being a winning trade is very high. So we'll get into the details of that right now, honestly. So if we look here at the performance overview, I'm just going to go through a couple of these here. This first one is the net profit. So that's, we took, and I'm just going to bring this up right now. The principal is the same as I have it matched on the Bitcoin backtesting and EOS backtesting. I set the initial capital at 15,000. Order size is 15,000. So that's basically 5% of your capital on leverage is what we're trading here, and I'm going to show you how we get to that number. So if I have 15K as the initial investment, this means we know that we're running this trading program at 20x margin or leverage, would mean we have a total of 300K of possible margin to trade. Now, of course, we don't use all 300K in one trade or even two trades. So this is where the risk, what I really not call risk, but allotted amount per trade comes into play. So if you have it set at 5%, so what that essentially means is that that's 5% of 300K, which equals 15K per trade. Now that means 15K per trade if you have no other trades open. So you have 100% of your available margin, which is 300K, and we're using 5% of that. That's 15,000 per trade. So that's where I come up with the initial capital of 15,000, order size of 15,000 per trade, and you can scale that up or down depending on, how much you're working with. But I always do my back testing and performance based on the lowest option for you to pick for risk per trade. So we have that explained correctly. 15,000 initial capital, 15,000 per trade, and essentially this simulates 5% risk per trade. Now we don't risk the whole 5% though, remember, because we have a stop loss for each trade. On the long side, we have a stop loss of 2.5%. So if we do the math on that, if I bring up the notepad again here, so if we take stop loss on long trades equals 2.5%, which translates into us risking $375 per trade, is about what we would risk on the long side if you were trading $15,000 at 5% on Bitmex. So you'll be roughly risking $375. So you got to keep that in mind. You know, if an algorithm has a losing streak of a possible, you know, 4 or 5 in a row, that's typical, or if that's a common characteristic of that algo, you got to be able to say, well, at any given point I could have a drawdown of $375 times 5, or $375 times 6 or 7, or whatever the case may be. We'll look at that with this algo, but that's how you kind of determine where your risks lie per trade. Now on the other hand, if you take a look at the performance summary, or actually the overview, it shows you that on average, if you account for wins and losses together combined, on average each trade pans out to be about 4.25% profit per trade. So that makes sense, about $637 per trade if you equate and calculate in their wins and losses. That's on average what you'll get. Now again, the profit factor is determined by how much your net profit is versus how much your max drawdown is, and that max drawdown is 4.47%, which is very low. So you literally could double your exposure or go to 10% per trade. That'll be setting us at 30,000 per trade, and you will see here that at 10% per trade, same parameters, you're looking at 678% return in 1 year with a 6.63% drawdown. So that's the profit factor is really ultimately what you want to look at with an algorithm or a system. That lets you know, because if I said, you know, I can get you 678%, but your drawdown is 50%, that's not going to be attractive for most people. You're not going to be, as an end user of an algorithm, you're not going to be interested in seeing a drawdown of half your money potentially to gain 678%. So that's kind of how that works. The other thing I want to point out is the average number of bars per trade. So this will kind of give you guys an understanding from a length perspective how long we on average are in a trade, and that will be 55 hours because we're dealing with the 60 minute or hour chart here. This is where we're trading. So on average, you could look to have a trade open for over 2 days on average. Now it doesn't mean every trade will be that way. It's just over 80 trades. That's where we are. And you guys, I pinned the link to this chart so that you can visually follow the trades that we're in with the ETH algo, and actually all of them. But you can always look at the strategy tester tab here and always see the real-time stats on any of the algos we have running. So you can easily see that. And you know, if we add in, to give you even more of a realistic, I'm gonna go back to 15,000 per trade, or 5%. If I add in commission, because some people were asking about that, you see that we're net profit of 339% for just over a year. If I add in percent commission in here, on Bitmex you have a 0.075% in and out. So a round trip is what we call it, a round trip commission of 0.15%. So if we add that in there, it drops us down to 315% returns, and it kind of nudges that average trade amount down as well to 591 per trade. So that's with commission as well. And again, this is still not going to be directly spot on, but it'll give you a ballpark of real life trades, because in some scenarios you're paying to hold a position, and in others you're being paid to hold a position, a perpetual position in a contract. So just keep that in mind. But overall, the performance will be very close to this. You'll have times when we get tapped out at a liquidation level, and that will, your loss on that particular trade will be more than what it would have been if the stop loss order was fulfilled. So again, these are ballpark, but very close, give or take 10% after commission is included in there. So just kind of giving you guys that. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. Very satisfied with the results that I was able to get with this particular algo. If we look at the detailed performance summary, you will see here, and you know, this is common because we've been in a bear market this year. So my long trades are not as profitable. It's at a factor of 2.81, but that's still like really good. That's really good. And on the flip side, the shorts, of course, quite naturally will perform better, is at 7.4%. So combined with commission, we're looking at 4.26 profit factor. The last thing I want to show you is if we change this to go all the way back as far as we can, January of 2017, that may not be the earliest. Let's see, if I go over the trades, it'll tell us. So the earliest I can go is March of 2017. But what this does is cover us and gives you some understanding of the performance over 2 years. And this is a good snapshot because 2017 was a very bullish year, while 2018 was a very bearish year. So that gives you a very good snapshot of how this algo performs in both markets. So again, profit factor is still very high there, 3.43, 142 trades over that year, almost 2 years, just shy of 2 years, and a performance of net profit of 473%. Drawdown of 12% over that, or max drawdown of 12% over that same time period. So yeah, that gives you some understanding. And again, if we take this to what would equate to 10% per trade, you will see at 30,000, you will see that that's 947% return over that period from March 2017 up until today, January 16th, 2019. So that's it. Again, the algo is live. You won't have to do anything to initiate this. We are currently in a long position. I told the room earlier that you could manually go ahead and get in this position if you wanted to, or just wait for the next trade. So everything will be handled from here on out. And you'll see alerts in the trade log room when we either enter a position or close a position. That's pretty much it though for today. Thank you for checking in with me to go over the ETH algo for Bitmex. It's your boy Crypto Blood. I'm out. Holla.